A big part of getting into jazz is learning the jazz language, and one of the best ways of doing that is to study the greats, and they don't come much greater than Charlie Christian, one of the pioneers of electric jazz guitar, hugely influential figure. I think Wes Montgomery taught himself to play by learning Charlie Christian solos, and the solo we're going to learn today, Grand Slam, was actually one of the first jazz guitar solos that I learned note for note. I found it hugely beneficial to my playing and to my understanding of jazz. I hope that some of you will have a go at learning this, and I hope that you'll find it similarly rewarding. So let's get started. I'm going to begin by playing through the solo, which goes a bit like this. I first came across this track on the compilation album The Genius of the Electric Guitar, which is a brilliant record. It's a compilation of a lot of Charlie Christian's finest stuff. It's well worth checking out. It's essential jazz listening, if you ask me. And this particular track, I'm not sure exactly when it was recorded, but it was done with the Benny Goodman Sextet, and he was with them from 1939 to 1941, so it was recorded at some point during those years. And this solo, like with so much of Charlie Christian's stuff, is just perfectly formed. It's elegant, it's melodic, it's beautifully played, and I just think by studying this solo you will get so much out of it. You're going to get some great jazz vocabulary, you will learn some strategies for improvising over chord changes. There are lots of great licks that you can steal as well, so well worth putting the time and effort in with this one. And if you'd like a bit more background and information on the Charlie Christian guitar style, I did do a video called something like the Charlie Christian guitar style quite a long time ago now, but I think that's got some quite good information and licks and ideas in it. I can't actually remember exactly what's in it because it was done so long ago, so maybe it's absolutely terrible. I can't be sure. You have to check it out. I'll put a link to that on screen. But in this video I'm going to be focusing on this solo. My approach, as usual, is going to be going in quite deep with it. I'm not just going to be shouting out tab numbers, otherwise you may as well just get a tab off the internet or learn it from the record. I want you to understand what is going on, why he's choosing these notes, why they fit over these particular chord changes, and I think that's the best way to come at solos like this. Then not only do you learn a great solo, but also you're understanding what's going on, and you can take these concepts and use them in your own playing. This track is just a simple blues in F, no fancy jazz blues chord changes or anything like that. And in the little performance I just did, I put together a very simple backing track just playing through the basic chords. So I was just using an F7 here, got 4 bars on F7, then we go to the 4 chord, B flat 7, back to the 1, and then the 5 chord is C7, and then back to F7 again. And for the solo, Charlie Christian is playing 2 12-bar choruses. In the first 12 bars he's playing down this end of the neck, and then in the second 12 bars, as the solo builds, he's working his way up a little bit higher. But the opening lick that you hear is this one. Beautiful opening statement. And this is all played over the 1 chord, so over the F chord or the F7 chord. And one of the things about Charlie Christian's guitar style is that he seems to be thinking about chord shapes and chord tones. A lot of his licks and ideas live in and around common chord shapes. So you might like to think about your F7 chord down here, and then within that shape you've got your chord tones, your F arpeggio or triad shape, so F, A and C, A, C and F. And this opening phrase is emphasizing those chord tones, but he's decorating those chord tones with a few other notes as well. And we're kicking off with this, and there's a little pickup phrase which is a great device to use in your solos. So instead of coming in on bar 1, beat 1 of the 12 bar, you're coming in a little bit before. That's why it's called the pickup phrase. And this particular phrase starts on beat 3, so 1 2 3 4 1, and that's actually the downbeat of bar 1 of the 12. So C, D, F, and then we're hitting this note here, this A flat or G sharp, and that's the minor third. You can think about your your minor pentatonic scale here, you've got your major pentatonic scale here as well. All of that stuff is going to work really well over that F7 chord. But we've got, so coming down a scale there, and it's kind of that mishmash of major and minor, hitting the flat 5 there, nice bluesy note, and then here we've got a very common jazz device. So we're enclosing this note here, which is the A, that's the third of the F7. So very common just to play 1 fret above that note, 1 fret below, and then you hit that target note. That's what's known as enclosure. So hitting that target note. Then we've got coming down again, and just ending on chord tones. This is an F triad here, so C, F, and A. And with the next phrase, we're leading into the 4 chord, our B flat 7. And again, it's kind of an anticipation. So we're coming in a couple of beats before the actual chord change. It's 1, 2. And again, hitting chord tones. You can think about perhaps your B flat triad shape here. We've got these little decorations, these little hammer-ons and pull-offs. But then hitting a chord tone, that's the third, and then hitting the root. So you can think about your chord shape, and then you've got that nice little box of notes that you can play around with, which will fit that 7th chord. Just frets 1 and 3 on the top 3 strings. And then we're going back to the 1 chord. And once again, anticipating the chord change. It's a really good thing to try in a jazz solo. It sounds like you're in control. You're not just reacting to the chord changes. You know where you're going next, and you're signalling that just a fraction before we actually change to the next chord. So we're thinking F, even though we're still on the last couple of beats of the B flat 7 chord. So 1, 2, and that's giving you an F6 sound. So you can think about your F chord shape there. This note here, D, is the 6th. So, and next we're going to the 5 chord, which is a C7. So we're just climbing up to the root note there, and then coming back to the flat 7 chord tones, and then coming back to the 1 chord there. That's some more of this major and minor stuff. And that concludes the first 12 bars of the solo. I'm just going to put that together for you slowly in time with a nice close-up of my fretting hand. 1, 2. Next we're into the second 12-bar chorus, and he kicks off with this fantastic lick. I love this lick, and we're playing in the 10th position here. We've got this F note, 10th fret on the 3rd string, and he's emphasising the offbeats there. It's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and this is actually bar 12 of the previous chorus, just leading into this lick. And it's kind of a shape-based thing. If you like, you can think about your caged, it's kind of the G chord shape zone of the fretboard that we're in here, or your F major pentatonic scale here, but it's really a shape-based thing. So we've got these 3 notes here, so a D, an F, and an A, and then we're just climbing up chromatically on the B string. So before resolving to the A, which is the third of the chord. Then we've got this. So you can think around your F7 chord here. So you've got the third, and then you're coming down chromatically from the root to the flat 7. That's a nice little lick. And then this. Another really lovely idea. And you can think about this chord shape, so a B flat 7 with a 4th string root, and he's using kind of an extended arpeggio. So this useful little shape. We've got root, 3rd, 5th, flat 7, and then you've got the 9th on top as well, and you can play this high note at the 10th fret. That's the 3rd. He's coming down from this note, and then we've got a nice chromatic run of notes which takes us down into this position, so hitting the flat 7. There's a little open string in there as well, which is nice. It just buys you a little bit of time. It sets up the rhythm of the lick. Now we're coming out of that chord shape, so it's really just based on the B flat 7 arpeggio. Then heading back to the 1 chord with this lick. So simple but really effective phrase, this one. So sliding into the 3rd and ending on the 6th. Next we've got a 5 chord lick. So this is, you could think about your C7 chord shape here, and he's starting on this note here, which is really kind of a bluesy note. It's the, could think of that as coming from the F minor pentatonic scale perhaps. So it's high D, and then coming down to this C root note here. And then the final phrase of the solo, back to the 1 chord. Nice simple phrase, that's coming out of this C grip F shape. And that concludes the 2nd chorus. So I'm just going to put all of that together, the 2nd chorus, for you nice and slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Great solo. I think a very learnable solo. It's very memorable, and not without its challenges. It is beginner friendly, I think, but to play it at the speed that Charlie Christian plays it, which is around about 200 beats per minute, is pretty challenging, I think. Some of those licks are pretty complex technical exercises. So as with everything, take it slowly. You don't need to play it at 200 beats per minute. Just slow it right down, work on getting these licks nice and precise, work on rhythm, work on swing, and then gradually you can push up the speed. Briefly then, the gear that I'm using in this video, guitar is my Vox Virage, which I've been enjoying playing quite a lot recently. It's a very versatile guitar. I think it does work quite well for jazz. It's an interesting guitar. I think it's a bit of a lost classic. I remember when it came out it was really well reviewed, but I think it was quite expensive, perhaps overpriced, and it never really caught on. But now I think it's got cult classic potential, I think. And it's not a true semi-acoustic, but it's got these tone chambers in here, so it's kind of got a little bit of a hollow body thing going on, that resonance, which works quite well for jazz. I'm using the neck pickup here, I think in humbucker mode. Each of these pickups has 3 different modes. You've got a single coil, and then a fat single coil, and then a humbucker mode. But yeah, that pickup, I think volume and tone are on full. I don't generally do the rolling off the tone thing when I'm playing jazz. I sort of still like a little bit of brightness in my jazz guitar tones. I don't like those completely dull jazz guitar tones that some people seem to go for. Amp-wise today, I'm not actually using an amp, I'm just using my Kemper Profiler. Just for convenience more than anything, but it does sound pretty good, I think. And the profile I'm using is some kind of Fender, it says Vibro V something or other, Vibro Verb. It's based on a Fender Vibro Verb, I imagine, but any clean sounding amp will get you a decent enough jazz tone, I think. That's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoy learning this solo. As usual, tab is going to be up on the Patreon page, and I will see you next time.